The first time the billionaire walked into the glass atrium of Armitage Global Headquarters that bright Monday morning, the building seemed to hold its breath. Conversations died. Footsteps halted. Even the sunlit marble floors, glowing beneath the skylights, felt colder under the weight of his presence. Maxwell Armitage, known throughout the city as ruthless, unreachable, and dangerously sharp, moved like a storm disguised in an expensive suit. Everyone feared him. Everyone avoided him. Everyone except the new janitor, a single dad named Rowan Hale, who stood quietly by the service cart, watching the shaken employees scatter like startled birds. Rowan didn't know it yet, but this moment, this ordinary sunlit weekday morning, was the beginning of everything that would change, not only for him, but for the man everyone believed had no heart left to offer the world. If you're watching this on YouTube, take a second to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Everyday Kindness if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the strength of ordinary good people. It helps more than you know. Rowan had only been working at Armitage Global for 4 days. He didn't look like someone who belonged in a towering corporate empire. His uniform hung slightly loose across his shoulders, his shoes were a little worn, and he carried the quiet exhaustion of a man trying to balance too much in one lifetime. A single father to a 7-year-old boy named Theo, he had taken the janitor job because it paid just enough to keep their small apartment warm, the school lunches packed, and the medical appointments covered. Theo had been battling respiratory issues since birth, and every paycheck, every hour, every sacrifice was done with his son in mind. To Rowan, this job was not beneath him, it was survival. Still, he worked with pride. He polished the railings until they reflected like mirrors. He swept the marble floors in long, smooth arcs. He kept the place bright and clean because he believed that kindness showed in the details, even the ones no one noticed. But on that 4th morning, as he watched Maxwell Armitage stride past with an expression carved from stone, Rowan noticed something no one else was close enough to see. A flash of fatigue hidden beneath the billionaire's sharp gaze, a heaviness in his steps, and an isolating silence that followed him like a second shadow. The staff whispered about Maxwell endlessly. They said he built the company after surviving betrayal from friends and abandonment from family, choosing power over vulnerability. They said he destroyed anyone who crossed him. They said he trusted no one. Rowan didn't know how much of it was true, but he sensed something deeper. Pain left patterns on people. He recognized them because he carried a few himself. Later that day, as sunlight streamed through the tall windows and cast long, warm stripes across the lobby floor, Rowan continued his rounds. He noticed tension everywhere. Employees were scrambling for a major board meeting that Maxwell himself was leading, a rare occurrence. Desks cluttered, papers scattered, nerves frayed. As Rowan stepped into the executive hall, he found a young assistant named Marcy holding her breath, her eyes glossy with fear. On the floor beside her were hundreds of printed documents she had dropped in a moment of panic. Panic that only grew worse as Maxwell's footsteps echoed from around the corner. Rowan didn't hesitate. He knelt, gathered the papers calmly, organized them, handed them back with steady reassurance. Marcy stared at him, whispering her thanks, trembling as she hurried inside the conference room. Maxwell stepped into view a moment later, his hard gaze sweeping the hallway and stopping on Rowan. For a split second their eyes met, sunlight reflected between them, and Rowan didn't look away. Most people dropped their heads when Maxwell approached, but Rowan simply nodded, offering a small, respectful acknowledgement. Maxwell didn't respond, but something in his expression flickered. Over the next week, daytime in the building became a little less tense around Rowan. People noticed that he was different. He was gentle but strong, quiet but present. He helped people quietly, carrying boxes for the overwhelmed intern in the mailroom, fixing the jammed elevator door before the maintenance crew even arrived, guiding the new employees who got lost in the maze-like hallways. He treated everyone with kindness, from the security guards to the upper-level executives. And slowly, people began to relax around him. But something else was happening too. Maxwell began noticing him. Every morning, Rowan would pass Maxwell near the lobby's central fountain, where light cascaded through the skylight in golden beams. Maxwell would glance up from his phone just long enough to watch Rowan straighten a crooked sign, wipe a spill no one else noticed, or offer a comforting smile to someone who clearly needed one. Rowan's presence wasn't loud. It wasn't forced. It was steady, human, and undeniably warm. And for a man whose world had been built on control and distance, that warmth felt unfamiliar. The turning point came one afternoon when Rowan arrived late. Something he never did. His uniform was slightly damp from running, his breath uneven, and worry was etched across his face like ink. He tried to hide it as he pushed his supply cart toward the atrium, but Maxwell saw him. He saw everything. The redness in his eyes, the exhaustion weighing down his shoulders, the quiet shaking in his hands. And though Maxwell didn't know why, he felt an unexpected pull in his chest. Later, Rowan's manager cornered him, scolding him harshly for being behind schedule. Rowan apologized, bowed his head, and got back to work. But Maxwell, watching from a distance, looked at Rowan differently that day. Not as an employee, not as background noise, but as a man carrying something heavy. 2 days later, the building held a charity gala planning session. Everyone was on edge. Maxwell hosted this event every year, but the pressure grew higher with each one. The atrium buzzed with anxious staff, decorators, and executives rehearsing their speeches. Rowan was assigned to clean the far end of the hall before guests began arriving. It was a bright, crisp morning, and sunlight danced across the glass chandeliers like scattered diamonds. Then it happened. A delivery man carrying a large tray slipped near the staircase, sending hundreds of delicate crystal glasses crashing across the floor. The sound of shattering glass echoed through the hall, and the entire room froze. Every head snapped toward the noise. The delivery man trembled, apologizing repeatedly, his fear obvious. He looked like he expected to be fired on the spot. Maxwell stormed toward the scene. The air thickened. Everyone stepped back. But Rowan stepped forward. He placed himself between the billionaire and the terrified delivery man, not in a confrontational way, but with quiet courage. He apologized on behalf of both of them, even though it wasn't his fault, and calmly explained that accidents happen. His voice was soft but steady, and it cut through the tension like a warm breeze. Maxwell stared at him, shocked. No one had ever stood between him and a mistake before. No one had ever protected a stranger at the risk of their own job. Rowan knelt and began cleaning up the glass piece by piece, working quickly and efficiently. Maxwell watched the entire time, his expression unreadable. Then, without a word, he walked away. But something fundamental had shifted in him. That evening, as golden daylight faded into early dusk, Maxwell found Rowan sitting on a bench outside the building, looking drained. The sky glowed with soft orange light, and the city hummed around them. Rowan held a small nebulizer in his hands. Theo's. He looked defeated. Maxwell approached him slowly, not as a boss, not as a feared billionaire, but as a man struggling to understand why he cared. Rowan explained quietly that Theo had suffered a severe breathing episode that morning, which was why he had been late. He explained the medical bills piling up, the stress, the exhaustion, and how he was doing everything he could to keep going. He didn't complain, he didn't ask for help, he simply shared the truth. For a moment, Maxwell couldn't speak. Something inside him cracked open. He had built a life on walls so high that no one could reach him. But Rowan's honesty broke through them in a way he never expected. The next morning, the sun rose bright and golden. In the full glow of day, Maxwell called a company-wide meeting. Employees gathered nervously in the atrium. The air shimmered with daylight pouring through the glass ceiling. Maxwell stepped forward, but this time there was something different in his face. Warmth, humanity, respect. He announced a new program. Full healthcare coverage for every employee, including janitorial and maintenance staff. No fine print, no exclusions. He also named Rowan as the official workplace wellness liaison, a new role focused entirely on improving morale and supporting employees. It came with triple the pay, full insurance for Theo, and better hours. The room erupted in shock and gratitude. But the biggest shock came when Maxwell publicly thanked Rowan for reminding him what leadership truly meant. He didn't mention the shattered glass or the mistakes Rowan had shielded others from. He simply said that kindness, quiet strength, and courage were qualities that built great companies and great people. Rowan stood there in disbelief, emotion tightening his throat. He had never expected recognition, never expected a chance like this. And yet, here it was, shining in the sunlight, real and life-changing. Maxwell walked up to him, extended his hand, and for the first time in years, he smiled. An honest, human smile. Rowan shook his hand, feeling the weight of the moment settle into his bones. If this story has touched your heart even a little, please like, comment, subscribe, and share it with someone who believes in kindness, hope, and the power of ordinary people to change lives. Your support helps these stories reach more people who need them. Before the video ends, here's a special request. Comment the word "brighter days" if you believe small acts of kindness can change the world. As the day continued and warm sunlight filled the building, Rowan returned to work, this time with purpose, pride, and hope. And Maxwell Armitage, the billionaire everyone once feared, watched him with a sense of gratitude he never thought he'd feel again. Because sometimes the right person steps into your life at exactly the right moment. And sometimes even the quietest janitor can change the world in ways no one ever expected.